it's Agent 8699 back here on the IDWG, which stands for the Internet Doctor Who Guide. And today I'm just going to be reviewing the 50th anniversary special of Doctor Who called Day of the Doctor. The stars are Matt Smith, Jenna Coleman, and David Tennant, which I'm really happy about since he was my favorite Doctor, and this episode came after Season 7, and that was when David Tennant was already finished, so that made me real happy. And also with Billie Piper, who previously starred as Rose in Seasons 1 and 2, and the famous actor John Hurt as the War Doctor. So I really liked this episode. There were like a lot of funny scenes. One of my favorite scenes being the rabbit scene, which was like the first scene with the 10th Doctor. So he's with Queen Elizabeth, and he accidentally gets engaged to her because he's trying to prove that she is a shape-shifting Zygon. And if you haven't watched the old Doctor Who, you probably don't know who the Zygons are. And I do have my guidebook here to show you. Big red rubbery things with venom sacs in the tongue. Very ugly, huh? Yeah. And so he's trying to prove that Queen Elizabeth is a Zygon. Well, she accepts his proposal, and the Zygon turns out to be his horse. So he goes, "Oh, I'm going to be king!" And so then the horse turns into the Zygon and starts chasing them, and they run into the woods, and the Doctor loses both of them, and he runs into this rabbit that's hopping around and sitting on a tree stump. And so he thinks that the rabbit is the Zygon. So he says, "Alright, I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey and the constellation of Castorberus. And you are basically just an ordinary rabbit, aren't you?" So it's just he launches into this big, long, pointless speech to a rabbit. And I thought that was like one of the best scenes in the whole movie. Well, it's not exactly a movie. I call it a movie episode just because it was like an hour and 15 minutes long. So, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, okay. So, another really funny scene was where the soldiers surround them, and Queen Elizabeth shows up, and you don't know whether she's the real Queen Elizabeth or the Zygon. So I'm not going to tell you. But she's going on and on about how she demands that they immediately be taken back to the tower and incarcerated. And so the 11th Doctor, he says, because by now all three of the Doctors are together. And so he says, Yes, I demand to be taken immediately and incarcerated in the tower, along with my co-conspirators, Sandshoes and Grandad, and which is how he refers to the 10th Doctor and the War Doctor, and they are both looking rather insulted at this point. Anyway, for my two quotes now. Out of those two, they're both pretty good, but I think I really like the cabinet one just because it was so, I don't know, whatever the word is, sarcastic, I guess, yeah. Okay, so then there was also this other scene at the very end of the episode. It's the scene where the 10th Doctor and the War Doctor both leave in their TARDISes, and Clara decides to leave the 11th Doctor alone for a while so that he can spend a few moments with his painting of Gallifrey. And the curator of the museum comes to talk to the 11th Doctor. And I realized that the curator was played by Tom Baker, the 4th Doctor, who ran for 7 years. And I think he's probably a lot of people's favorites. And he looks really old, and I didn't even know he was still alive. And so, that was interesting, I thought. So, yeah, and then there's the scene at the end where they show all of the Doctors all the actors that ever played the Doctor in the last scene. And then in the credits, this was cool, I thought. In the credits, for who played the Doctor, they gave every single actor a credit from the first all the way to the 11th or 12th. Yeah. And now, also, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave your comment about if you've seen Doctor Who before. I'd appreciate it if you could leave a comment about who your favorite Doctor is. Thanks a lot. I'll be back soon. Bye.